let's start first by just getting our legs straight out in front of our body. I want you to point your toes forward. You're sitting up nice and tall, okay? This is what it looks like from the side. Okay, toes pointed forward. And you're just going to try to hinge at the hips, okay, as you keep your torso tall. Hinge at the hips as far as you can, and then start to round your back a little bit as you reach forward towards the toes. Now, I'm really flexible because I stretch a lot. Some of you might be up here sitting like this and just leaning slightly forward saying, oh, wow, I can already feel the stretch. Just go as far as you can. We never want it to be painful when stretching. We always want it to be something that is, it's right at that point of mild exertion, that pain, okay? But not into that pain threshold, okay? Go ahead and, if you can, press your hands onto your feet. Press forward. So like I said, some of you are going to be more flexible. Just press those toes forward if you can reach your toes. And you'll feel a little bit different stretch. You can also drop your head down in front here, okay? You can have the head come straight down. And when we do these stretches, we want to hold the stretches for 20 to 30 seconds. That's ideal. Anything more than that isn't going to really elicit that much benefit, but right around 20 to 30 seconds, that's the most ideal amount of time for you to be stretching for these static stretching exercises, okay? All right, let's go ahead now. And what we'll do is, instead of having the feet close together, we'll split them wide. Okay, we're going to keep those toes pointed straight up. And I want you now to shift your torso. We're going to lean over to one side. Okay, you're going to reach that opposite hand forward towards this leg, reaching both arms forward. You're going to grab this leg. Try to keep this butt on the ground, this butt cheek on the ground. Okay, you're turning your torso and you're bringing both shoulders down. And you're going to try to bring your face towards your knee here. So you should be feeling this stretch on the inner thigh. You should be feeling it underneath on the hamstrings and inner thigh of this leg as well. Again, you might be up here, that's fine. But what we want to try to do is eventually lean as far forward as possible here. Okay? And again, we're just trying to get this head to drop right down. Okay, and we want to keep these toes pointed up. Try not to let them point forward or legs fall off to the side. Toes pointed straight up is ideal. Okay, let's go ahead and walk your hands across to the other side. And same thing here, turning the shoulders first, reaching with the hands, keeping this hip on the ground, and then trying to bring your face down towards your knees. Okay, go ahead and breathe calmly through these stretches. That's going to help you relax your muscles. Okay, again, toes pointed up here. And now let's do a butterfly stretch next. So we're going to bring both of the soles of our feet together here. And you're going to pull your feet in as close to your hips as you can. We're going to do a few different stretches here, okay? So first one is you leaning forward. You're going to drop your head down. And you're going to pull your toes up a little bit as you press your elbows into your legs to try to get your knees to come down a little bit further, okay? And then we're going to just drop our head down. You're going to let your head and neck just relax here. And you should feel this stretch here in your inner thighs. This is an adductor stretch. You might also feel this stretch in your lower back, okay? So now we've got lower back stretch, inner thigh stretch. And as you press your elbows into your knees, you feel it go a little bit deeper into your inner thighs. Okay, from this position, what we're going to do is slide the feet further forward. I'm going to show you from the side what it looks like. So I was here, and now I slide the feet forward, still keeping the soles of the feet together like this. I'm going to first try to hinge at the hips, keeping my back tall, hinging forward, and then I'm going to bring my arms forward to my feet, and then I'm going to go ahead and fold over my feet here. And this stretch now I feel in the crease of my hips, I feel it in my lower back, and I feel it in a little bit different spot on the inner thighs. And again, with this one, you can drop your head down and just kind of relax your head and neck. Okay, everything's kind of relaxed here. Just go ahead and take some nice big calm breaths. Okay, from from this position, go ahead and come back up, right? We're gonna go right over onto our hands and knees, okay? So it's hands right underneath the shoulders, knees underneath the hips, okay? We're gonna keep our feet close together here, right? And from this position, what I want you to do is take one arm, drop it underneath, reach underneath and drop that shoulder down, okay? We're getting a little bit of a stretch here in the spine, in the core, in the back. So we're just bringing that shoulder down to the ground and keeping this palm facing up, okay? And then if you can touch the shoulder to the ground, fantastic. And you're just trying to reach as far through with this hand as possible, okay? Okay, let's go ahead and we'll come back up and we'll switch it over to the other side. I'll show you what it looks like from the front. I'm right here. I'm going to drop that shoulder down. I'm going to reach straight through. And then I just feel muscles in my lower back off to the side being stretched. I feel it a little bit in my multifidus, my quadratus lumborum, a little bit in my erector spinae muscles and my low back. Again, that palm is facing straight up. Okay, let's go ahead and come out of this stretch, and I want you to go right into a child's pose. So from here, we're going to have feet close together again, and I want you to actually spread your knees a little bit wider, and hands are going to come out in front. And I'm just going to sink back, and I'm going to let my hips drop down onto my feet. And when my hands are out in front, what I like to do is I like to just be on my fingertips here, so I keep my arms off the ground. My whole arm is off the ground, and then I let my torso sink down with this as well. And I'm going to let my head relax. You can rest it on the mat here if you want to. Okay, but I feel a little bit of a stretch in my lats. I'm feeling the stretch in my lower back, in my hips a little bit as well. Okay, this is a great hip stretch. Okay, from this position, we're just going to come straight forward, knees together, feet together, into a little bit of a up dog here, or cobra pose, where we stretch our abdominals out a little bit. My hips are on the ground, and I'm just pushing my torso up, stretching my abdominals a little bit, the front of my body. I'm not pushing myself so high that I feel the pressure in my low back. I don't want to feel the pressure in the low back. You should always feel that stretch in the front of the abdominals on this exercise, okay? Go ahead and come up out of that stretch right there. What we're going to do next is we're going to try to target the inner thighs a little bit more. So with this next stretch, it's about getting the knees as wide as we can, okay? So I'm kind of inching my knees out to the side, and my feet are out wide as well here. I'm going to come down onto my forearms. Now this stretch for a lot of people is very challenging to get into if you don't have a lot of inner thigh flexibility. So you might stop right here. You're already feeling the stretch enough right here. But what I want you to try to do is slide your knees even further, if you can, even further out to the side. You'll feel that stretch go into the inner thighs here. Okay, let me show you what it looks like from the side, still holding that stretch, okay? But from the side, we're right here. Okay, you see my feet are right behind my knees. And now from this position, we can tuck our tailbone under. You see my back round up a little bit, and you'll feel that stretch go into your hips a little bit differently. So we're really getting some deep hip stretching with a lot of these exercises, okay? And that's the goal of today's stretch session, is to really loosen up the hips a little bit, regain some mobility, regain that flexibility that we maybe used to have in the hips that we no longer have. We want to start going back in the right direction here, okay? So now let your tailbone come back up, so my back is sinking down now, so I'm switching the direction of my hips. I've done an anterior pelvic tilt. I came from rounded back to now my back is sinking down low, and you'll see that stretch changes to a slightly different position. And then I want you to go ahead and let your butt slide back just a little bit, and you'll feel that stretch change position a little bit more, a different spot to the inner thigh. Okay, again, the feet are wide here. The feet aren't close together. If you'd like to bring your elbows back a little bit, and if you want to drop your torso down onto your chest down onto your forearms here, you can, unless it decreases the stretch. If it decreases the stretch, stay up here. I want you to try to maximize that stretch if possible. Okay. Try to slide your knees out a little bit wider if possible. Okay, now coming out of this position is pretty challenging, so let's posture up with our hands first, and then just slowly inch the knees together, side to side, bringing them both all the way in, okay? Now what I want you to do is go ahead and take a sprinter's lunge, okay? So that means that we're gonna have 1 foot forward and 1 foot behind, just like so. Now starting up here, some of you are already feeling that stretch, okay, in this down leg and the quadricep here. That's where you should be feeling it. I'm going to turn the other way just to show you real quick, okay? So right here, you're feeling this stretch, okay? Now, I bring this foot a little bit forward. I'm going to slide this leg a little bit further back, and that's going to now when I sink forward, I'm really going to feel this stretch come right down the front of the quadricep and the hip. I'm going to keep my elbow on my leg here. Some of you, the stretch is fine right here. Some of you can go a little bit further into the stretch. Just keep sinking the hips forward and then bring your hand down to the ground, and you should really feel this stretch on the front top of the quadricep. It's a deep hip stretch on the iliopsoas, okay? And I'm trying to keep my hips square here too. I'm not allowing my hips to rotate either direction, just straight forward. Okay, and if you have really tight hamstrings, you're probably feeling it underneath on the hamstrings on the front leg a little bit. That's okay too. Again, everyone's going to feel these stretches slightly differently based on their own mobility, flexibility right now, today. Okay. All right, from here, what we're going to do is we're going to rock back to a hamstring stretch. So I want you to posture back up, and we're just going to straighten this leg out in the front here. Okay, so this leg now, the toe is pointed straight up towards the ceiling. I've straightened this leg out, just letting it drop right down. I'm going to try to hinge at the hips here. Okay, so let's go like this. We're hinging at the hips. As my back stays flat, I bring my opposite hand down to the ground. Now the weight of my torso is what's making my hips roll forward here, and that's what's going to get me that maximal stretch in the hamstring. So if you need to keep your other hand on your hip here, pushing that hip back, that might help you increase this stretch a little bit. But again, we really want to try to keep the chest up, try to avoid rounding the back like this. You'll notice if you round your back like this, that stretch disappears. So we've got to come back to this flat back position, and it's best if you start up tall, hinge forward at the hips, keeping that flat back, chest up, and you can just barely touch your fingertips to the ground. That's okay. Okay, everyone's feeling this stretch all the way down the hamstring to the back of the knee, maybe even a little bit into the calf, okay, into that lower leg. Now from this position, we're going to come back up, posture back up, put a slight bend in the knee, and we're going to re-hinge, do the same thing. Okay, hand can come back down to the ground, but now that stretch traveled up the hamstring, closer to the butt. So it was behind the knee, closer to the knee before, and now you should be feeling it higher up the hamstring, closer to where the hamstrings meet the glutes. So we're targeting a few different areas of the hamstrings here. Okay, and again, we're holding this stretch for 20 to 30 seconds. And then from here, we're going to go right into a pigeon pose. So that means I'm just going to come forward, tuck this foot under, okay? Try not to have this foot straight out to the side, bring it back a little bit. And then my hips are going to roll this way. I'm going to try to square up my hips, and now I'm facing straight forward here. So this stretch, I'm feeling a little bit on the top of the quadricep here, where my quadriceps meet my hips, that deep hip stretch here, iliopsoas, and then I'm feeling it wrap around my hips on the other side, wrapping around my glutes. Now, with this one, let me show you from the front position. Okay, when I'm here, you can stay postured up just like this, with your shoulders back, chest up, or you can come down onto your forearms, like so. I want you to do whatever stretch allows you to feel the deepest stretch on the hip right now, on this leg, on this hip, okay, wrapping around this hip. So either here or here, and then one more addition you can do to this stretch to go even a little bit deeper is, see how this knee is pointed off to that angle just a little bit? I want you to reach your opposite hand that same direction, okay, and just go ahead and go onto the fingertips here, but you're going to feel a little bit of a stretch down your side, in your back and your lats down your side, and you can also feel that stretch on the hips. Now when you do this, try to keep this hip down, twisting down towards the ground. The more you can twist this hip down towards the ground, the more you're going to feel the stretch on that, on the glutes of that forward leg, okay? There we go. Go ahead and just Take a few nice calm breaths here. And let's go ahead and posture back up. Okay, we're going to take this stretch now to the other side. Okay, so we're going to go sprinter's lunge, other leg, forward, start up here, postured up, right? And then point the toe, and then we sink forward into it. Opposite hand comes down to the ground. Again, this stretch you're feeling on the top of the quadricep here. Now remember, for some of you, you're looking at me going, I'm not that flexible, I'm way up here and I'm feeling the stretch, I can't even bring my hand down to the ground. That's fine. This is where I want you to eventually get to, is this point. So we need to keep practicing. If you're not here yet, keep practicing all these stretches so you can increase your mobility. It's really, really important for you to have flexibility in your hips so you can recruit your glutes, your quadriceps, your hamstrings, all your external rotators of your hips when you're doing things like squats and lunges, when you're doing all those strength training exercises. We need to be able to recruit the muscles appropriately. Flexibility and appropriate mobility is what's going to enable you to be able to recruit those muscles the way they should be recruited. Okay, let's go ahead from here. We're going to go ahead and sink back into that hamstring stretch. So toe comes back straight up towards the ceiling. This leg straightens out. Okay, I've got these hips square. I'm going to hinge at the hips, keeping my back flat, bringing my opposite hand down to the ground here, and then I get that deep hamstring stretch. Again, even from this position, keep that chest elevated, keep your back flat. And you'll really be able to feel that hamstring stretch go all the way down your leg. I want you also, that opposite, the hand here of the straight leg that's out in front, keep that hand on your hip, push back onto that hip, and you'll feel that stretch increase even a little bit more. Okay, we're going to come back up a little bit. We're going to bend the knee. Remember this one? Bend the knee a little bit. Re-hinge at the hips. And then bring that hand down towards the ground. And now I feel that stretch again. Travel up the hamstrings closer to the glutes. Okay, holding this stretch. Take a couple of calm breaths. It's usually on that exhale when those muscles can relax a little bit more. You get a little bit deeper into the stretch. Okay, and let's go into the pigeon pose next. Again, I'll show you from the front position. So I'm just driving that knee forward. The other leg's back behind with the toe pointed behind me. Okay, and I'm trying to square up my hips, roll this hip down towards the ground. I feel that stretch wrap around the hip on this side on the forward leg. Okay, with this one, remember, you can stay postured up, or you can come down onto your forearms, whichever allows you to feel the stretch the most in the hip right here. Take a few calm breaths. And then we're also going to, if you can, reach forward with this hand, get that stretch. Keeping the arm off the ground, rotating that hip down towards the ground. Okay, let's go ahead and come up out of this stretch. We're going to go to a child's pose. I want your feet close together, and I want your knees really wide here, okay? And then we're going to go ahead and sink back into that child's pose. If you need to have walk your fingers further out in front, go ahead and walk your fingers out. Get your arms reached way out in front. Keep your arms close together. You should be feeling the stretch in your lower back and in your hips. Now from this position, what we're going to do is we're going to walk our hands off to one side, but I want you to keep your hands close together. And when we do this, you're going to feel this stretch go all the way down your side here, from your shoulder all the way down to your hip. Walk your hands as far as you can, but keep your hips in the same spot. Don't come out of this stretch and lunge forward. You're just getting your hands to go to the side. Now this shoulder, try to sink this shoulder down towards the ground, and you'll feel that stretch increase even more all the way down that side. If you've been doing a lot of pull-ups, working your back muscles here especially, doing a lot of cycling or running, you're working those intercostal muscles, the muscles between your ribs. It's good to do this stretch to stretch all those muscles out. Walk your hands over to the other side now. Keep the hands close together when we walk them all the way over off to that side. I want the hands, the thumbs touching here, hands close together. Now drop this shoulder down towards the ground and keep the hips in the same spot. If you can keep your hips sinking back towards your feet, you'll feel that stretch increase even more down your side from the shoulder all the way to the hip. Okay. Walk your hands back to the middle. Go ahead and come up out of this stretch. What we're going to do next is sit on our butt. Okay. I just want you to cross one leg over like this, and then we're going to take this arm here, put it on the other side of the knee. This hand comes back to the ground. I keep my palm facing the same direction that I'm facing as I twist into this. Don't really try to force yourself into this stretch, as in don't try to use muscles to squeeze and twist your body further. Just get here and try to relax and keep your chest elevated when you do this stretch. Okay, we're going to go ahead and switch over to the other side. Cross this leg over. Okay. Walk this hand back. Chest elevated. Palm and face facing the same direction. Couple of breaths. Okay, good. Next position, we're going to bend your knees. Okay, you're going to with one hand grab an ankle, okay, and with the other hand put it right on your knee, and we're just going to now roll back to our side here, and this is about splitting these legs apart. Okay, so if I'm up from the side here, you can see here's the position. Now I fall back, and then I just try to pull this knee up towards my face, and I try to pull this knee back. And by doing that, I get the stretch to go straight down the front of my quadricep on this top leg. And you want to try to stack your hips too. So roll the hips over, roll those shoulders, and then as you stack the hips, pull the shoulder back, elevate the chest up a little bit, pull that foot back, pull the knee back. Okay, let's go ahead and switch it over to the other side. So same thing from the other side here. Grab the ankle, grab the knee. We're going to fall back into it and then split the legs apart here, getting that quadricep stretch. Couple of deep breaths. Okay, from this position we're going to go onto our back. Okay, we're going to do Happy Baby. This is where you grab your feet, but I want you to keep your arms on the inside of your legs as you do this, okay? And then you're just going to let your head relax. You're going to pull your feet down towards your knees, and your ankles should be stacked directly above your knees at this point, okay? And you should feel the stretch in your lower back and your hamstrings a little bit. And what we're going to do is just rock a little bit side to side. So I pull with one hand and then the other hand. Just a little bit of a rock side to side. Okay. Couple of deep breaths here. Okay, next exercise, next stretch. We're going to try to get our feet all the way over our head. So I put my hands down and I let my legs fold over my body. Okay, you feel this stretch in your lower back. If you can, get your toes to touch the ground. If your toes don't touch the ground, don't worry. Okay, nice and calm. This one does compress the lungs a little bit, so try to take a deep breath. Exhale. Okay, go ahead and roll forward out of this stretch. Okay, we're going to go on to our knees next. And what I want you to do first is have your toes pointed behind you, because when we sit back here, you're going to feel the stretch on the top of your feet, on the front of your shins here. A lot of people neglect this area, stretching this area. They'll stretch the back of their legs, their calves, but they don't stretch the front of their legs very often. And those muscles need to be stretched out too, okay? So what I'm going to have you do is bring your hands back, and you're going to elevate your hips up just slightly, Not a lot, just slightly. So you feel a little bit of a stretch in the quadriceps when you do that. Okay, pull the shoulders back, elevate the chest up. Maybe engage the glutes a little bit more, drive the hips a little bit higher. Feel that stretch change position a little bit in your quadriceps. And then go ahead and sink your hips back down. And let's go ahead and move your torso to a position forward or backward that allows you to feel that maximal stretch here in the front of the shins and the feet. Okay? So everybody's spot's a little bit different right here. So just find that spot where you feel it the most. Hang out there for a second. Just let your body weight sink down. And that's what's doing the stretching here. Okay, so from this position, what we're going to do is just come forward. And I want you to now tuck your toes under, okay? And now we're going to stretch the bottom of the feet a little bit. So we're going to come back here, and I like to place my hands right on my heels, okay? And then you really feel that stretch go to the bottom, the soles of your feet here, the arches of your feet, okay? And from this position, what we're going to do is drive the hips up again. We've got our hands on our heels, so just drive those hips up. And then I want you to sink back a little bit so we get the stretch in the feet. And now we're getting that stretch in the quadriceps too. Okay, go ahead. Come back down. Hang out here for a second. Let that stretch go into your feet a little bit more. Okay, good. Let's come back to the seated position again. And we're going to go legs wide one more time, only this time one leg's going to be in, okay? Sole of your foot touching your leg here, okay? And now from here, both hands come forward. I want you to try to grab your foot if you can. You'll be a little bit better with the leg tucked in. It'll be easier for you to get over, okay? You're going to pull that foot back as best you can. Pull it back. If you're way up here, that's fine. Pull that foot back. Okay, maybe you use a strap or something if you have one of those to pull the feet back to. That works. You have an extra strap. If you can't quite reach your foot. And now if you can, what I want you to do is point that foot forward, and you're just going to press your hand onto your toes. Press forward here. Feel that stretch go down the front of your shin again. Okay? And then let's go ahead. Switch it over to the other side. Same thing here. Turning the torso, we're going to pull first, pulling on that calf. Letting that foot come all the way back towards the knee as best I can. Okay, and then we're going to go ahead and point that toe forward, pressing the hands onto the foot. I like to turn the foot to a few different angles while I'm forward here too. So I'm just trying to press a slight angle this way, and I feel that stretch in one spot. And then I press slightly the other direction. I feel that stretch change a little bit. And come on back up. Okay, that does it. 30 minutes of stretching, you guys. Nice job, everyone. Thanks for joining me. Be sure to check out my YouTube channel, Fitness Deconstructed. Subscribe if you haven't already. I'm going to be sending more videos your way, more stretching videos, more body weight videos, all kinds of exercise videos for you guys to be able to do in the comfort of your own home. All right? Have a great day, everyone. Thanks for joining me.